see, look, if I'm live here. Oh, right on. There we go. Building an audience here. I'm gonna sing us a song real quick to build an audience. All right, guys. Today's update on the Army Corps of Engineers denying the process. We got to see it first. We got to see the language in there first. We got to see if it's articulated well. And from what we've seen today, we're going to push forward still. We're going to continue to stay here at the camp. We're going to continue to occupy and prepare until this black snake is gone. From the outside, things are a little different than the inside. So if we stay focused, the work isn't done here. We have a lot of people who were falsely accused over the last several months. So this work isn't done here. Everyone's celebrating, and I think it's a good thing that, you know, those are going to continue celebrating. You know, enjoy yourselves, be safe. But what we're going to do is we're going to continue to work. We're out here still making sure to hold them accountable that they are not going to drill, and continue to work 24/7, 72 hours a day, 96 hours. So we do know they're still shooting drones. One of the drones is down today, and we'll pull in right. There's your turn right there. Left, I mean. Right here. And we're making sure that we still, well, we're going to continue to show the footage. What we witnessed today was military all over the top. Military all the way across. And there's a car behind you. Oh, you got it. Okay, so I lost track. Every time I get to speak here, I'm running on a little bit of 72 hours straight, guys. So I got to meet with the Congresswoman this morning. Shared the concern about an international energy company have domestic ties, utilizing those domestic ties to have a no-fly zone, which is Morton County Police Department and National Guard, using many resources. We had a meeting with the FAA, and it was a private meeting to discuss and articulate the no-fly zone. For some reason, they felt I had the power to shut down all drones and not fly anymore, and they were going to guarantee a 96-hour window for me to not fly, and then they would lift the TFR. We know that's kind of bullshit, because as soon as we walked out, they enabled the no-fly zone. I showed them all the evidence of human rights violations, animal rights violations, the Geneva Convention violation, as well as civil rights violations, and video, and he admitted that Morton County had no evidence. All they had was multiple agencies agreeing that they needed to shut down the no-fly zone. I did meet with one guy today that was the first guy to be able to fly in the no-fly zone. Unfortunately, this was a reporter who had no idea on where to put his point of access. This was a level 3, which is one of the highest levels of no-fly-in. They thought that was only for terrorists. So people have been ripping apart this no-fly zone. It's simple. It's not supposed to be put in. It's a violation of our First Amendment rights as Americans. So we're flying from the reservation. We have a sovereign entity, a sovereign nation that has the right-of-way over their airspace. And he told me that we were still flying in a no-fly zone. He asked me to not fly. I was very specific to him, and I says, I do not have the sovereign authority to say otherwise. I'm not a tribal government. It's not my homelands, and I cannot speak on behalf of the tribal council. That's that. You'll have to provide documentation. You're going to have to come to the tribal courts. He goes, well, Myron, that's kind of a gray area. I'll need a lawyer. I knew it. He's bullshitting me all the time. So tribal airspace is also going to be, unless the tribe has given up its sovereignty of fly zones, that's the only way they can have the airspace. Other than that, they did an MOU or a joint something where they lease it out, like Spectrum, anything like that. So this is a gray area that we're looking to articulate tribal airspace, as well as we're going to continue with Spectrum And many of you guys don't know, but millions of dollars fly through the air every day on our phone right now. If I'm on the tribal lands using my AT&T, they should be paying the rights to the tribe to go through their cell towers, like if you were using Roger Wireless in Canada, or down in using the Mexico or anywhere around the world you use their cell towers. So here we are today. We're going to have to educate technology at a grassroots, bring it into the tribal councils, educate the tribes that this is the time to practice your sovereignty, not ask for permission for your sovereignty. This is where we are today. And I want to talk to one of my brothers over here. He's a lawyer and on inherent rights. And I want to ask him a little question about what he thought today. He's also a veteran. Go ahead, brother. Tell me what you thought today and about the veterans. And
well, first let me say that I'm a legal consultant, not a lawyer. I would never get a state license to practice law and put my
that's my fault, sorry.
And put my duty to the state first. I'm here to consult tribes specifically without having to be limited by the rules of professional responsibility. With that being said, today was a nice win for everybody. I hope everybody's out there celebrating and doing it safely and recognizing that we got to get focused again tomorrow. There's more work to be done. We need to ensure that the tribe is infrastructure is built up so that we can get these inherent rights expressed clearly, so that when the Army Corps of Engineers tries to come back through this route, which is it's likely they will, because they could possibly look at some congressional statutes that allow them to challenge the Corps of Engineers decision. Maybe the Corps of Engineers will allow them to do an environmental impact statement, a more stringent environmental assessment where they actually have to consult the tribe much more thoroughly. In particular, we need to ensure that there's adequate spiritual impact consultation under the National Environmental Policy Act of 1969, and that requires the ones doing the environmental impact statement to consult the tribal elders, not an anthropologist from some university that can't see traditional cultural property, but people that have come from this land that understand indigenous culture. So there's still some, this is a good victory, but in order for tribes to ensure this doesn't happen again, not just Standing Rock Sioux, all of them, we all have to begin to start practicing our governance, utilizing our inherent powers, and not so much these congressionally delegated powers.
Just give an example of how do you use an inherent power.
Well, when you do economic development, you don't have to use a federal charter or a state corporation. The tribe has just the same authority as any other nation. They can codify and develop their own business structures, a tribal corporation, a tribal LLC, on their own authority, and they get the same protections that a Section 17 or any nation would have. They have sovereign immunity and tax immunity, and then you structure your businesses on trust land. It's exclusively the tribe's jurisdiction, and you stop state encroachment. You don't do businesses with state corporations. You do business with your own corporations, and then you subcontract state corporations. And now you just circumvented a Supreme Court decision called Cotton Petroleum. So we need to start critically thinking about how we want to create, what kind of narrative we want to create when we do our governance, whether it's economic development or any protecting sacred sites. That's how you use your inherent rights.
Can you give just a really quick summary of the day and the energy down there at the Osheti-Shikowan now today?
Oh wow, powerful. People holding hands for miles, and songs, lots of songs, and some hooping going on, and people crying, and it was just it was a real beautiful thing to see.
Were you there too, brother?
I was.
Tell me what you thought over there. Give your name and tribe and what you thought today.
I'm Northern Arapaho. My name is Dallin Maybe. I'm Northern Arapaho and Seneca from New York and Wyoming. I was cautiously optimistic. I almost didn't want to believe, because I saw two inevitable outcomes. I saw one where, more violence, more brutality was going to be inflicted on us. But I think when they anticipated people would start leaving camp because of the cold, that ability to suffer really, Indians know how to suffer. We suffer in our Sundance. We recognize the power of prayer and suffering in ceremonies like our Sundance and like our sweats. And it felt good to see that, because I was here last week and I came back up just the other day, and the camp hadn't gotten any smaller. It was really heartening to see so many committed people to a cause that is about humanity, not just the people of Standing Rock. Usually it's the Indians standing on our own, fighting our own battles. But for once, people recognized that water is sacred for everybody, not just Native peoples. And so when they made the announcement, I immediately thought, well, at least they recognized that they would have had a media nightmare on their hands, not just Native peoples, not just the people at the camp being brutalized, but now you got veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Iraqi conflicts. Nobody wanted to see that on the 10 o'clock news. And so I initially thought that the evacuation notice from the state as well as from the Army Corps of Engineers was going to be the first step towards, final violent resolution. But then they made this announcement. It totally blew my mind. I was excited, but still cautious. Our law degrees taught us that there's always some wiggle room somewhere. And so what we see is a temporary, solution to a complicated battle. They are going to hopefully force energy transfer partners into some real spiritual consultation, but those guys aren't going to give up on this route. They know they've got a bigger fight if they try to move it back north of Bismarck. They've already spent millions of dollars getting to the water here. They're going to file some suits to enjoin the Corps of Engineers to keep moving forward. So the fight's not over. So I'm happy to hear that the camp is still resolute, that a lot of people are going to stick around until this thing is seen through to the end. So it's exciting time to be in Standing Rock.
Oh, thank you. So we'll close out with that. Just beautiful day. Everyone working together. Everyone singing and eating and laughing, and just guesstimated around 15,000 people showed up. And when we left, the traffic was going all the way up the road with people still coming in. Did our best to continue to document around. There's so much going on. I woke up in the morning, was there listening to the bugle going, listening to the songs going this morning, just kind of absorbing that in. When you hear that medicine and you hear those songs, it's very powerful. Spoke with veterans from Navy SEALs to Green Beret, Special Forces, just Navy, Air Force, and even met a couple of people who said they used to be mercenaries and that wasn't what it was about. This isn't what they thought it was about, and they were coming back down to get that healing that they were hearing from their fellow veterans that were coming down here, their brothers. So I thought it was really something different to have that conversation with them when I was way out in the middle of nowhere, and they've already they already knew the layout. They already knew where to go. They were already they were ready to protect us, and they were ready to stand in front of the water protectors and do what they can, and that was very powerful, reminding them that this was a spiritual movement here. And they respected that, and that was something different for them, because if it was ready for war, they were ready to go to war, but this was a spiritual war. And that was something really different, having these conversations with them and listening to their story, why they're here. And it was something different, a movement for them, a spiritual movement. We talked about the disconnect with the DAPL spirit, is that their spirit's disconnected. The Morton County's commitment to doing this They also described their military tactics, that they weren't uneducated in any type of the military form. Kirschmeyer, they described him as, pretty much one of the guys that been bullied in school. Some of the people who knew him, he was bullied in school, and this is his tactic, is to bully back some way, shape, or form of what you're seeing here. So it's very hard, to sit back and watch your people go through that. But again, you see your people get stronger, and that's where we are today. Everyone's down there, they're having a good time, they're enjoying themselves. But tomorrow they're building. Today they were building and getting ready for the winter to dig in. We'll give you another update later on. Sending many blessings your way. And today is number 9th drone. They shot the drone from afar. There was probably a total of 15 drones in the air. Even though there's considered a no-fly zone, they're still continually to shoot down the drones, and there's no accountability even from FAA. Even if they're shown, there's no accountability. How do we hold them accountable? That's the question we're going on now. How do you hold them accountable? So we witnessed drone pilots say their drones were shot with pellets. Also, there was a report that someone was shooting BBs into the cars as they drove by from a high level up. I assume it was up on the hill. So there's just some things that we're seeing in agitators trying to start things. But the camp has so much powerful energy that I don't think it's even affecting them. And that's the good thing we're seeing and hearing and witnessing here at Osheti, Sikowan, Standing Rock, Rosebud, and Sacred Stones Camp, as in also Heyoka and them out there. So sending them blessings in the 4 directions, relatives. And now we need your support. Send us out some drones, digital smoke signals. Make sure they're Phantom 4s. And we'll continue to go on the reservation side and outside of the TFR and do our drone training and get our drone pilot soon, and share that with the rest of the world, what we're doing up here, protecting the water and the sacred. A whole many